The Daily Jaws 50th Anniversary interview series is a collection of amazing conversations exploring the legacy of Steven Spielberg's screen adaptation of Jaws through the eyes of the fans. We'll be talking to famous fans, shark experts, people whose lives have been changed by the movie, and those that were there that helped to make the film. We'll also be telling you about two amazing organisations that are very close to our hearts. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
That's how I learned to be a special effects man, was on the job. Well, when you take on a job like that, there's no quitting. You know, it's gotta, as long as they had money, as long as they kept saying, make it work, we did everything we could to make it work, and we made it work. Never, ever one time did I hear anyone call the shark Bruce. I worked 13 straight weeks, 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day, mostly 12 or 14 hours a day, without a day off, and it was still the best summer of my life.
Hey guys, it's Ross over at the Daily Jaws with another 50th anniversary interview. Today, I'm joined by Jaws royalty. This man has literally been in the mouth of the shark. It gives me great pleasure to welcome retired SFX wizard, the man who worked Bruce the Shark, Mr. Cal Acord. Cal, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I might as well show the picture, huh? Can you see it?
So guys, just for those of you that are listening on the podcast rather than watching the video, Cal is now holding up a print of the photograph of him on the back of the orca climbing out of Bruce the Shark. It's one of the most famous behind the scenes photographs ever. And we're talking to the man himself. Unbelievable. Cal, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Boys, it's a pleasure to have you here. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, so thank you so much for taking the time out. And again, for those people listening on the podcast, Cal is wearing a Jaws crew t-shirt, especially for the interview, which is a really nice touch. So he's an absolute,
one of the original
absolute
design.
legend. Yeah.
This was the original design. Paul McPhee printed these up back in 2012, I think. He sent me one, which was pretty cool of them.
Beautiful piece of work. Beautiful piece of work. Well, let's start at the beginning, Cal. So tell us, how did you get the job on Jaws?
How did I get on Jaws? Well, this is how I was told I got the job. I worked at Universal Studios. I started there in 1968, and I was an electronics technician in the Navy, repaired radar and radar repeaters. I got out when I was 22. My dad worked in the studios. He called me one day and wanted to know if I wanted to go work in the studios, and went to work as a permit. A permit is like you're just allowed to work. You get 30 days total, and you get in the union. They have to. It's a law. And so I got in the union. I was working at Universal. I was 22. This guy sent me up to the special effects department because they needed some bodies up there, he said, and they put me to work on the truck. And from there, I met a bunch of guys and learned the trade. That was 68. And around 1974, I got called in the office, and they wanted to ask me if I wanted to go on location on the movie Jaws. And it so happened that it was in June. The movie had already been working for a while, so I went out on the second wave with a buddy of mine, Chris Lorino. You may have seen one of the barges that we hauled the sharks on. It says across the beam, USS Lorino.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw that picture or not. Yeah. But that was my buddy Chris. He used to tell me I was. Anyhow, he told me, I got you on Jaws, Cal. Anyhow, he may have, because he didn't want to go out alone, is what he told me. And so we went out together, and that's how I got on Jaws.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Chris, because that's led to one of the greatest behind the scenes photographs ever. So what did you actually do on Jaws, Cal?
Well, when I first got there was a crew of guys that had been working on it for months. They essentially built the shark at Raleigh Harper, which is a place that used to be a catering outfit, Raleigh Harper. and they had a shop and stuff. And so they went to work over there because they were kind of going out of the business of
Mm.
the catering. And those guys worked on there. I got out there in June, maybe the first, second week in June. And I went right to work on getting the sled shark, both the sled sharks. There was two. There was a big one, the big sled shark,
Mhm.
which we drug. I just did a lot of work on that. There wasn't really much room on the boat when they were out filming on the Orca itself. I mean, you've seen the pictures of how many crew members were on there. And
Yeah.
we were out at Shark City, as we called it. So the film crew, we stayed in Oak Bluff Harbor here, and on the other end of the island or they stayed in Edgartown. The other end of the island was Oak Bluff Harbor, and we had Shark City out there is what we called it. That was the radio call sign. And then you had the garage sale, which was the barge out in the other end of up in Edgartown. So it'd be like Shark City, Shark City. This is garage sale over on the radio. But I worked a lot on I was in the water every day.
Mm.
And we were getting paid the water rate, 25%,
Nice.
above scale for working in the water. And then I was doing some diving. We got dive pay for that, which was like $120 a day extra, which was a lot of money at $7, $8 an hour, which we were making at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like, take for instance the big sled shark. All right, so everyone knows the scene where Quint's on the bow, he's way up on the plank, way up front. The shark comes by and he shoots with the gun, right? Well, we worked for like a month dragging the shark around, trying to get it to stay up on. All right, so imagine, I don't have a picture of it handy, but it was like if this was the shark was up here. This is the framework below the water. There was a big iron beam down here, and then it had a dive plane that went like this, then a steering plane that would steer it. So it would go like this, it go up and it go down. So you got a fin sticking up here, right? And the fin had to be above the surface of the water, but it couldn't be too high because it'd stick out and then you'd see the top of the shark. Well, they wanted to be able to see it, but the top of the shark would break the surface of the water if this was the water surface. So we did a testing and dragging that around and trying to get it to do what it had to do to get that shot where he shoots it. So, in fact, I have a picture.
Oh, that's one of your photos.
Yes, that is the scene.
I've seen that online, yes.
We're on the Valerie Inn, which was the special effects boat, the gray one that Glenn Murphy drove. And then we went by we're dragging the shark, and it's 200.
Oh, wow, yes.
The shark is 250 feet behind the boat as we drive by. I'm on the boat. I snapped a picture of the crew. All the guys waved and everything. I mean, like Tom Joyner and this camera operator and a grib, they're waiting for us to drag the shark by. It's 250 feet back. So imagine you're on a boat and he's standing there like that. Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So he's standing there waiting, and we're putting into the shot, and we're dragging the shark, and like this is the boat right here, and the shark's way back here, 200 feet back. And the reason for that was you can't see the wake of the boat, right? So if you drug through the shot with a shark, and the shark was in the wake of the boat, it looked stupid. So we had to put it way back. So when we got by with the boat, the wake was dissipated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just the thing for me. Like, I've been doing a few of these interviews, and the craft from a technical point of view, when you talk about Jaws, is just off the charts. It's the amount of planning and preparation, and then obviously you're still at the mercy of the sea because you can do all this preparation and plan to the nth degree. But if the sea decides to do its own thing, it doesn't make any difference, does it? You're kind of at that mercy, right?
Yeah, well, it's like everyone was the shark's not working, the shark doesn't work. There was technical issues like that,
Mm,
that we had problems we had to solve. And no one had ever really done anything like this before.
no,
I mean,
no.
maybe the closest thing would be Moby Dick. That was a mechanical. Uh, I have a picture somewhere of Moby Dick, and it was a huge, humongous whale with the
Mm.
mouth open close.
Was that done on the ocean or was that done on a tank? Because I know there were miniatures as well. They used quite a few different techniques, didn't
I'm
they?
sure there was. I didn't work on Moby Dick. It was a lot of time ago, but
Yeah, yeah.
Bob Matty worked on a lot of it, I think.
Ah, what was Bob like? He seems like a bit of a legend.
We called him Never Sweat, but he never sweated anything. He was calm, cool, and collected. Wait a minute. I got a picture of Bob here I picked out to show you guys. Is that
Yeah,
better?
Bob Matty, there he is. Oh, what a
Yeah.
legend. Yeah, because he came out of retirement, didn't he, to work on Jaws?
Oh yeah. He was. Yes, he was. He
I
was a
can't, but
cool guy. He was an old guy,
yeah.
and I mean, I was 28 when I went out there. I
Mm,
turned 29 in August of 1974.
mm.
Bob was 65.
You must have learned so much.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, that's how I learned the trade. That's how I learned to be a special effects man. Was on the job. They
Yeah.
just throw you in the pot, you get out there, and make it work, make it happen.
Well, talking of making it work, I mean, Bruce was sort of very maligned, never really worked. I mean, was it really as bad as people said?
Well, it all depends on your perspective. I mean, uh, in ways it must have been. Let's go back to the beginning. All
Hmm.
right. So you got this shark. It's never been tested, right? I mean, they had the mouth. They put air to it. Actually, it was designed in the beginning to work with cables. So a cable would run from a boat on big drums.
Hmm.
All right. So imagine across the back of a boat like this, all these drums, and they had levers where it would engage and disengage, and that didn't work. That was the idea from when they left to go out to Martha's Vineyard. So
Hmm.
they get to Martha's Vineyard with a pile of parts, and they don't know if anything's going to work, and nothing had been tested. No one had been out in the ocean. Nothing. Everything was like shooting from the hip, building anything as you go. Well, let's try this. Let's try that. Of course, it was a trial and error. But to answer your question directly, uh, from my perspective, it wasn't as bad as everybody made out
Hmm.
because I was on the other side trying to make that show work. Pardon my
Yeah.
language. You
No, no.
know, and,
This is part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you because I think the stories that we get about the Jaws production are almost as mythical and as iconic as the movie itself. And when you hear the stories firsthand, obviously the shark was a challenge, and it was good that the shark maybe didn't work as well as it could have done or should have done because then it gave us a different type of movie, particularly when it came to the monster. But how do you how do you just not give up and walk away and go, you know what, this is just not going to work? What is it that keeps driving you to go, this, we're going to make this work. We're going to get this to a point where it's going to be in the movie. We're going to give it we're going to give Spielberg basically what he wants. Like how do
well,
you deal with that?
well, when you take on a job like that, there's no quitting. It's gotta, as long as they had money, as long as they kept saying, make it work, we did everything we could to make it work and we made it work.
Hmm.
Right. I mean, it's like, I mean, you look at the initial cost of the movie was like 12 or 13 million. It was the biggest grossing box office hit ever in the history of Hollywood at that time.
Hmm.
No one ever, there was over 100 million. It was like insane,
Hmm.
right? And so you look back at all the stuff that they went through to get to that point. I mean, remember Dreyfus was saying things in interviews when he got back, like he's embarrassed and he shouldn't have ever taken the job and blah blah
Hmm.
blah. It was the biggest hit ever, right? He was full of it. You know, I mean, he was a cool guy, but he was, like at that time, that's what he said. I mean, I'm just quoting him.
Mm. 'Cause,
Uh,
yeah, 'cause I was just going to say, because Joe Owls mentioned in a previous documentary about Jaws that there was a real sort of strange attitude to the Jaws people when they kind of got back, because obviously the production was in so much trouble. It was like, don't talk to the Jaws people was kind of what Joe was sensing and hearing. I mean, did you ever pick up on any of that after the movie was done, or did you not get caught up in any of that?
no, I went back to the studio, back to Universal, and we immediately started working on the Jaws for the tour.
Mm,
Immediately. I
mm,
barely got back, and we started putting it together. Well, maybe it was a week or two, after it took a while for the movie to come out. I can't remember exactly now. I put my foot in my mouth, but I remember, like, no, to answer your question, no, I don't remember any of that. I remember is like everyone started calling the shark Bruce. All right.
mm.
No one called it Bruce on the location. Never, ever one time did I hear anyone call the shark Bruce.
Roy
Ever.
Scheider, Roy Scheider said the same.
Yeah.
Because there's a part of and again, I might be misremembering this, but there was a thing where it was a joke that was made potentially, and it ended up going in the Jaws log, and then the story was kind of reversely told or reversely remembered. Like that's the name that was given on the set, and then it's come into the Jaws log and everything else. But a few people have said now, yourself and Roy Scheider have confirmed it, that yeah, Bruce wasn't actually
I never heard
the
it.
name of it.
You know, from my understanding, it was something that Steven Spielberg said in an interview.
Mm.
Like somebody asked him, what do they call the shark? And he goes, we called it Bruce after my attorney.
I do understand it to be true, but I think maybe there's a bit of a misremembering around the timeline, as it on production, post production, or whatever. Maybe that was just his personal nickname for the shark. But
Well,
what did?
I can tell you that we had several sharks.
Mm,
There was the sled shark, we called it, was just the fin. And that was the one where it went through under the bridge and rugging around in the harbor, the backwater back where Jaws, they call it Jaws Bridge, where everybody jumped off, everyone jumps off.
hmm
Uh, that was a sled shark. We had the right shark that went on the arm on the trolley. So there was one that had the right side open. There was one that had the left side open because they could shoot from this side or that side.
hmm
So we call it the right and the left. And then there was the sled shark, the big one that we drove around on the sled. That's how we called them, the sharks, and the left and the right.
Left, right, back to front, upside down, sled, whatever you like. Did you ever get to control the sharks at all, like the mechanical ones?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a picture of me and Edith Blake. Yeah.
In terms of controlling the sharks, can you tell us a little bit about how that worked?
Well, yeah. Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can tell us, absolutely. Oh man,
So
that's so cool.
this is a big air tank reservoir. All right.
Hmm
And the shark worked pneumatically, which
hmm
is there's air hoses running to the shark. There was, you've seen hydraulic cylinders with the hydraulic oil that run big machines that that lift like cranes and backhoes and all that stuff.
hmm
Well, these run on air, right? And
hmm
so if you look closely on top of can you see that?
Let's have a look. I think,
There's a
yeah,
tank.
like is it like a brown orangey kind
Yeah.
of? Yeah.
Well, here's a better shot.
Oh,
See on top
yes,
of the tank, those red handle knobs? See the
yes,
knob?
yeah,
Those are what are called four-way valves. So you push it one way and the ramp goes out. And you
yeah.
pull it back, and the ramp comes back, and in the middle is neutral. And that's how we operate it. That's Whitey Crum, Richie Helmer, Bill Short, some of the other guys that worked on the crew. But that's how it worked, pneumatics. But
Yeah.
imagine, to get back to the sled shark. So you have the Valerie in. which is Lynn Murphy's boat.
Mm-hmm.
And you go up the mast, and on top was crow's nests, as they are called on boats. And there were the controls that ran all the way back 250 feet back to the shark on electrical wire. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a cable, metal cable that was for pulling strength. And then there was a bundle of half-inch hoses that was about that big. I think there were 6 of them,
Mm-hmm.
250 feet long. So that was all coiled up on one of the barges, and then we pull all the hose out and then get the thing in and get it moving so the plane would float. I mean, no one has any idea what it took to drag that shark through the shot and how long it took to get it to work. It was like, I don't know, if you watch the movie closely, when the shark comes under the bowsprit and Quint goes to shoot it, if you look at the head, it's turned off to the side a little bit. It's kind of plowing.
Yeah, it is a little bit, yes.
Notice that?
Mm-hmm.
That's because, you could, the guy while operating that shark that was making the head move back and forth was 250 feet away up in the crow's nest, right?
Wow.
So, those are some of the, the things we had to overcome.
God, honestly, I applaud just that effort, because I don't think anyone's really explained the technical workings of the shark to that depth, and particularly framing it around the challenges, particularly just the ocean and the weight and the resistance and everything that challenge presented. And it's amazing. I mean, for me, when I've talked about Jaws in the past, I'm like, it's a miracle that this movie actually ended up getting made, and just working on the water in that way. Forget the shark, just filming on the water, is such a challenge in itself. So it's, they say they don't make them like they used to. I don't think you'd ever try and make something like Jaws again. But I mean, in terms of the movie itself, when you first saw it, what did you think?
Oh, that was awesome. It was great. I was like, everybody, the crew, it was like, there were some bad vibes out there in on the shooting company. A lot of attitudes, a lot of different people from all over the country, guys from New York and this and that, and they bought some camera guys from New York to do some shooting. Not that they were bad guys, but there was people from all over the country, and we were working long hours and out on a boat. It was wet. It's everything's a pain in the ocean, and imagine you got 100 crew members and you're working out in the middle of the ocean, well, not literally in the middle of the ocean, but offshore. And, it might be 5-mile boat ride to get to where you want to go. So if you leave Edgartown Harbor, you have to go all the way around the island to get to the other side where the garage sale was and the platform. Because there was a platform shark that we haven't even talked about. Like when the shark jumped on the back of the boat, right? So too bad I didn't do a picture thing of, I could have showed you the whole deal, but we're in a pile there. So can you see that arm?
Yes.
It's round, and then there's like a tower.
Yeah, I can see it.
The shark was hooked on the end of that arm.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you have an arm sticking up like that, and shark's on top. And the shark can go like this. It can lean back, and this can go like that. So this goes back and forth. The shark's on top and go like that, right? And it's on a trolley, and it runs like maybe 30 feet of travel. I forget. It's been a long time, right? So here's the boat, right? And the shark's kind of sticking up an angle like that. And it trolleys to the boat and then goes and jumps on the transom, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that took? How long did it take to build that, right?
God,
to make it
yeah.
work. It had legs. It was a platform. The tide goes in and out in the ocean, right? 6 feet every day. It had legs on it to move, to adjust it with the tide. No one ever told you that, did they? Right?
Nope.
I mean, the technical problems, that we had to solve, that was like, and it's salt water ate up everything.
That was the other thing as well, because the salt water apparently played havoc with the electrics and all the animatronics. It's like, so forget
Yeah.
the fact you're trying to shoot in the ocean with a real life-size prop. You've got it
Well,
battling against you.
everyone knows how bad salt water is on everything.
Mm.
If you ever been around the ocean, the seashore, or anything, everything gets rusted. Everything gets. You've been out on boats and yeah. Well, that works. Like every one of the guys had a toolbox that we made. They're about this long.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can see it or not. Like a 24 inches long with a
Hmm.
pipe, right? And you had all your tools in there and a can of WD-40. And every day when you got done with work, you had a WD-40 everything down because your tools would rust up, like dikes and pliers and stuff and crescent wrenches.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
God, what do you think was the single toughest challenge about working with the sharks?
The toughest, biggest challenge. Uh, just keeping it working and, getting approval of everything and everyone's shooting from the hip. I mean,
Mm.
it's like, so you got the shark in the water and they got a boat and they go, well, you remember the scene where the shark breaks through the window of the boat
Mm.
when it's already jumped in the back and it's sinking and it breaks through the window? So we shot that months before we did the shark on the back of the boat, if that makes
Which
any sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I mean, the thing is, those two particular shots are two of my favorites in the movie of the shark. Obviously, you get to see a
Yeah.
lot more of the shark as the movie goes on, but I think the shark crashing through the window of the cabin as the orca is sinking, I think the shark looks amazing, and just the timing of that with Roy Scheider running past the shark and then the shark coming through the window, it's perfect
Yeah.
timing. But also then just the technical execution of that shot of the shark crashing onto the boat is incredible. I mean, do you have well, let me ask you the question a different way. Which shot in the movie are you most proud of from a shark perspective?
Uh, what would I be most proud of? Interesting question. I think I would have to say all of them that were at work.
Mm,
I mean, that may be a cop out, sound like a cop out to you, but uh, the day that it went through the window was
mm,
like early on when I got there,
mm,
and I began to understand some of the politics going on the movie set. People didn't like certain people, and some people didn't like that guy, and like
mm.
uh, it was like a wake up call that day. Some guy had literally asked me, came over and goes, "What control were you on that shot?" Because that's one of the days I was controlling something,
Mm,
and I was controlling the roll of the shark. I think I can't
mm.
remember. And he goes, "What were you operating, Cal?" And I told him that was one of the few that they liked
God,
because they liked me, right?
yeah. Jeez. It's amazing to think
I
that the
was the
shark is actually
happy-go-lucky guy. I had nothing to do with the previous all that stuff. I had nothing to do with whatever politics was going on, right? I was the new guy that came in, right? Happy-go-lucky. Oh, this is the greatest movie ever. I was rolling around telling everybody it's going to be the biggest hit ever, right? And they're all saying, "Oh, this movie sucks." There wasn't, and I was right. It turned out to be the biggest movie ever.
God. Are you like was it cows do when they was it when they lie down, they know it's going to rain? So you're kind of like that, aren't you? You're the hit detector. That's what you are. You're the guy who knows the box office is coming, right? Good God.
No, I was just being the opposite of what everybody else was. They
It's
were
it's a
all, like talking crap, and I was all like just being the opposite. Oh, this is going to be the greatest movie ever. You guys don't know nothing, right?
I love the thing is though, occasionally because I've worked at a couple of different places, and it's very easy to get caught up in the toxicity and the negativity, and I try my best not to get caught up in any of the gossip, the bad mouthing, anything like that. I'm just like, I'm here to do work. I'm here to try and get through it with as much fun and enjoyment as possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
some days will be better than others, but I'm not
Well,
interested
let
in
me
any of
say this.
that stuff.
let me say this. I worked 13 straight weeks, 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day, mostly 12 or 14 hours a day, without a day off. And it was still the best summer of my life.
Oh man.
There's no comparison to summers, right? It was the most fun. It was like I met the most people. I had a blast. It was like unbelievable experience. It's a lifetime experience.
You know what? There's a few people that I've spoken to who have been involved in the film, and apart from obviously what you said there about the whole politics and all that kind of stuff, everyone seems to have enjoyed it, even though it was a really difficult shoot. I mean, in terms of your career, where does Jaws? Because obviously you've just said you've had a great time on it, but in terms of like the other productions you've worked on, is Jaws sort of like, yep, definitely number one, or was it the hardest, or what does it kind of rank for you in the work that you've done?
No, Jaws was the best experience of my whole life, let alone
Oh,
working for it. It was the funnest movie by far. I worked on some, a couple of big ones. I worked on the original Earthquake.
I've seen that film. I've seen it.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
came out the same time as Towering Inferno.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul
Yeah,
Newman, all those
Paramount
guys. Yeah.
filmed Towering Inferno. Universal did Earthquake, and Earthquake won the Academy Award for special effects.
So does that
That's
mean
not,
does that mean you're an Academy Award winner, Cal?
no,
Oh.
just means I worked on a movie that was an Academy Award winner. There's a big difference.
Hey guys, it's Ross. I hope you're enjoying this week's episode. Bruce and I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about a couple of the organisations that we've been working with and also some of the new products you can find in our store. Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS for short. A non-profit founded in 2020 that champions diversity in shark, ray and marine sciences. MISS creates equitable opportunities for historically underrepresented communities through hands-on programs and believes that diverse scientists bring diverse ideas, driving the innovation essential for ocean conservation. Representation matters, and MISS is making sure the next generation sees a place for themselves in marine biology. Learn more and support their mission at missalesmo.org. The mission of the Tourette Association of America is to provide help and hope to those affected by Tourette syndrome, tic disorders, and associated conditions through awareness, research, and support. It's the only national organisation serving the community and works to raise awareness, advance research, and provide ongoing support to patients and families impacted by Tourette syndrome and tic disorders. To this end, the Tourette Association of America directs a network of 31 chapters, 83 support groups, and recognises 18 centres of excellence across the country. It's a non-profit organisation and is extremely close to the heart of not just Jeffrey Kramer, but also his family. The Daily Jaws store is home to some of the world's most exciting Jaws products, including screen-accurate barrels and tanks, a chalkboard shark shadow caster, a yellow barrel koozie, an orca transom and 3 yellow barrel keychains, and much more. Visit store.thedailyjaws.com. For non-US orders, please email orders@thedailyjaws.com. Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
Well, it was probably like 3 years ago. I went over to Joe Al's house and we sat around and kicked rocks and talked about. I brought all the stack of pictures over and we were going through it and we were living. In fact, I got a picture of me and Joe.
Go on. Love Joe. He's such a cool guy. Yes, I love that photo. I've seen that photo. I love that photo so much. So just for the people that are listening, this is a picture of the back of the orca. They've got Bruce sort of on his side and Cal and Joels are just sort of chilling with Bruce. We've posted it a couple of times on the Instagram, I think, but I'm gonna have to go back and recredit that as your photo because I didn't actually know it was yours. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that photo so much.
This is another one's kind of cool.
I love that one. That is such a funny photograph. I absolutely love that. Is that you just had enough?
Was, man? I was 29 in that picture. That was 50 years ago, dude. 50 years ago.
Crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy where the time is going. Do you keep in touch with many of the Jaws people?
Just Richie Helmer.
Mm.
Richie Helmer and I were friends before we went on Jaws. Our fathers worked together, and we knew each other before we went on Jaws. There was a grip on there, Dave Fay.
Mm.
There's a picture of him standing with his hand on Jaws that I have somewhere. Even I played Pony League baseball together.
Did you?
I went on the movie and there's Dave Fay, man. We went to junior high together, man. Used to have dinner at his house with his mom and dad.
Wow.
Going back to junior high. which is like the seventh through ninth grader.
Yeah. God, it's incredible. Tell us about your career after Jaws. What did you guys end up doing?
Well, after Jaws, let's backtrack.
Hmm.
So I was in the Navy for 4 years, and I got I had some buddies, close friends of mine that I've known since junior high that were going to college, right? And I
Mhm.
was in the Navy, and they were going to night school and stuff, and trying to get a degree, and I wasn't about to let them get a degree without me getting a degree. So I went to night school using the GI Bill, working off and on in the studios, and I went up to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and I got a degree up there in three and
Mhm.
a half years. They gave me a lot of credit for my Navy training because I repaired radar and radar repeaters. They give me
Mhm.
28 units, which is a lot.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it's like normal is 14, 17 units a semester.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, 28 units was like a year. So, anyhow, I was doing that when I went on Jaws in 1974.
Hmm.
And I just happened that I finished and it was summer break, and I got the call to go on Jaws, and I got back just in time to go back to school in September. Right? So I finished that, and I went back to Universal, and I kind of started going out on independence. In the late 70s, the big studios were slowing down, and
Hmm.
it broke the industry changed, and there was a lot of independent production.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a big studio like Universal sent us out on Jaws, right? It wasn't like that. They hired independent guys like myself. So after Jaws, I went to did that. I went on worked on some movies with other guys, and then suddenly I started getting my own movies, and I was hiring crews, and so I did that until I got divorced in 1991, and I took a job at Warner Brothers. It was only going to be temporary, and the guy was really sick, and he ended up passing away. That
Hmm.
hired me. He died, and they made me boss. You ever heard that one? Who died and made you boss? That would work. He died, and they made me boss. Uh, so I did numerous films. Probably Wanted Dead or Alive with Rugger Hour,
Yeah, I've seen
stuff
that.
like that.
Oh, you blew up a boat.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I need to get into special effects. Seriously. Like you guys have the most fun. Seriously. Building sharks and blowing up boats.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Well, let's see. See this blue tent right there on
Uh,
the other side of that boat? There's a blue
yep.
tarp.
Uh-huh.
We were underneath there. And yeah,
You were
that
that
was
close to it.
that was in 19. The further away you are, the longer the wires have to be that runs to the side of the explosions.
Right, of course.
And you got battery power, dissipation of power through the wires. So it pays to be closer.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
such an
that was,
education.
yeah. I worked on Goonies too.
Get out of it.
No,
Did you? What did you do on
no.
Goonies?
In fact, I am sitting in the house that Goonies bought for me. They didn't know
No.
it, but I got a
What?
call from a friend, Matt Sweeney. You want to go to work on Goonies? I didn't have a film at the time,
Hmm.
and I said yeah. And I was looking to buy a house. It was like 7 days, another 7 days a week job, right? I
Hmm.
mean, you saw the movie set with the ship and the waterfalls and all that. We built all the waterfalls,
Hmm.
the water slides, and it was like an interesting fact on Goonies is that
God.
all those skeletons you saw on Goonies.
Yeah.
Remember the guys laying in the sand, and they were right. Those were all real bones from India. They were real bodies.
Oh, my God.
And the organ, remember
Yeah.
the organ,
Yeah.
and all the bones and the bone keyboard. Those were all
Yeah.
real bones.
Oh my God. Jeez. Cal, you should have your own podcast, dude. You've got some great stories, man.
I have a good story at the beginning of Jaws when I flew into Jaws.
Do it. Do it. Tell us.
Yeah. So my buddy Chris Lorino, who I mentioned earlier, he
Yep.
and I fly together on a Sunday or Saturday. I can't remember which, but we fly into Boston. There's a big storm, so we have to spend the night at the hotel at the Boston airport. And Lorraine Gary, the star, right? She was there. She had been home for the weekend for her son's graduation. And so we called the office, what are we supposed to do? We're here. Blah. Well, the Lorraine Gary's there, and she's going to get us. So go find her, right? I didn't know Lorraine Gary from Adam, right? I'm just a 28-year-old special effects man. Her husband is the vice president at the time, the vice president of MCA, which owned Universal.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find her at the counter, and she's on the phone talking to the office. She's not in a really good mood, but none of my business. I'm just, hi, we're supposed to go catch up with you, and one of those, I'll be with you in a moment. She's talking on the phone. And so we get in a limo with her, and we go out on the runway, and we're getting into are you familiar with, there's a plane called an Aero Commander, and it's got twin engines, and they call it underslung because the engines are under the wings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a 6 or 8 passenger plane.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go over to get in the plane. Naturally, I open the door for Lorraine Gary, and she gets in. Chris gets in, and there's an empty seat in the co-pilot, right? And pilot was a super nice guy. He was dressed in what I like to call the East Coast uniform with the blue blazer with the gold buttons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blue shirt, striped tie, right? Some brown slacks, whatever he had on topsiders. He was dressed perfectly. And I go, hey, can I sit in the front? And he goes, sure, man. So I jump in the front, and I got the thing like that. And there's some headset. And he goes, yeah, put him on. So I got the headset on. He's got a headset. We're talking back and forth to each other,
Yeah.
right? And he's asking me all kinds of questions about flying and this and that. Have you ever flown in a little plane? I go, no, this is my first flight ever in a small plane. I've been in helicopters, right, when I was in the Navy. And he goes, you want to fly? I go, yeah, man. So he goes, okay, here's the altimeter, right? He goes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the tab so it's going to want to pull down. What I want you to do is pull back on the steering wheel, whatever they call it, and pull back and hold it at 3,000 feet. All right. So I got it. I'm flying freaking plane, right? I'm sitting there, and Chris Lorino goes, hey, Cal, are you flying this plane? I go, yeah, man. Lorraine Gary's sitting next to him. Can you imagine what she must have thought? She never said a word. And she was, after that, she was so nice to me the few times I saw her around on the set, the street or whatever. Oh, hi, how are you? She was very sweet to me.
Hey, thank you for not crashing the plane.
I got to fly a plane too.
Oh, mate, I can see why Jaws was the best summer of your life. That's amazing, man. Oh my God. Okay, so I've got some quick fire questions about the movie. They're not like a quiz, they're just purely opinion, a bit of fun. So the first question is to do with the first movie. Out of Chrissy, Pippet the dog, Alex, the estuary victim, Ben Gardner, and Quint, if you could only save one from the movie, who would you save and why?
Chrissy, come on, man. So, in the shot, have you seen the shot of Chrissy on the beach and the guys are hooking the wires up to her?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the water with Chrissy the whole time, right? And she was topless in that shot.
Yeah.
My job was in between after we got everything rigged up because, like Chrissy's like this.
Yep.
There's a wire on here. There's
Yep.
a wire on that side. They
Yep.
pulled her this way, and the wire ran over to a pulley back on the beach to another pulley, and there was a crew of guys pulling one rope, and
Hmm.
they reversed it. So they pulled her back this way, that way, and down, right?
Yeah.
And my job was to swim over in between shots and wrap her up in the dive vest.
And
It was very
that's why you saved Chrissy.
of course.
Can I ask you a question about that actually? Because there's always been a rumor that she got hurt during that sequence and the screams in the water were real. I mean, what's your take on that?
BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Total BS. She didn't get hurt. We didn't hurt her. We're responsible for her safety. There was a stunt coordinator there watching everything we did. She didn't get hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because the only time that I heard that she was in sort of mild discomfort was afterwards when they were looping some of the dialogue and they were throwing water down her throat or something like that. But the whole thing about, being in the harness and her ribs being broken, all this kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't think so. I mean,
I
I'm
was right
talking
there in the
50 years
water
ago.
right next to her the whole time. The
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah.
The entire time it was filmed, I was in the water next to her a few feet away. And I remember absolutely nothing about her complaining of being hurt.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Rest in peace, Susan Backlinie, by the way,
Yeah.
who passed away last year, sadly. Okay, next question. Did they need a bigger boat?
Did they need a bigger boat? Well, ultimately, with the shark sinking it, I guess so, right? In the movie, and that's one of the classic lines of the whole film. I mean, if someone's going to quote Jaws, that's the quote.
That's the one. Well, it's either a bigger boat or a better boat. I'm not sure which, but yeah, I think we're on I think we're on the right thing.
I have some interesting stories about the shark tank when we filmed at they call it the saucer tank, and it was at MGM Studios.
Tell us about the tank. Sorry, I didn't know that you were involved in the tank. I thought that was Dick Warlock and a different crew, but tell us about the tank.
Well, I mean, we came back and we had the shark, and we worked in the tank. We had rebuilt the shark to work in the tank, and had to downscale the apparatus that made it do all the stuff, right? And so we loaded all that stuff up from Universal and installed it in the tank over at MGM, and then put the water in there. It was a fun shoot.
Was the shark very different to the shark that was in the ocean? Did they do anything different with it from a technical point of view?
The eyes moved and the head would go like that.
Oh, amazing. Are there any other stories that you'd like to share with us? Because it seems like you're much more involved in the movie than I assumed. I thought you were on the island for a little while, but it sounds like you've done quite a lot. I mean, is there any other stories you'd like to share with us?
What other stories? There was there were so many. Here's a good one.
Go on.
All right, remember the shot with Walter Cronkite? It's the magic hour shot. Walter Cronkite was on a sailboat, and the shark goes by, and they see the shark fin. Did I get you? I stumped you? Trying to remember that scene? Anyhow, Walter Cronkite did a cameo in the movie because he was pretty famous at the time.
Hold on a minute. Go on. I am stumped now. Hold on, Mr. Acord.
Hang on. Go back. It's not a mon. Anyhow, we're dragging the shark fin. Now, I mentioned we had a sled fin, right?
Yeah.
There was all those mounted on there was a fin that was about this high.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And we drug that around, and we made a pass, and in the shot, we were turning it around. And remember I told you about the dive planes on the sled? This was a miniature of the other one that I explained, but it had dive planes on it, so it would on each side of it, so it would go down or up and keep it at a certain level, and then it had tail fin that would make a turn,
Hmm.
right? And so, but you had to keep it moving, otherwise it had a negative buoyancy and it would sink.
Hmm.
Well, they were making a big sweeping turn, and it was in the waters between Chappaquiddick and Edgartown. So there's two islands there right next
Hmm.
to each other. Remember the Kennedy episode of he was on Chappaquiddick and Mary Jo Kopechne Bridge? Yeah, that one.
Hmm.
We were in that area back in the bay, and we made a U-turn, and it sunk and it went down to the bottom. And it was like 20 or 30 feet deep. And it was like, oh God. And remember I said that there was the air hoses,
Yeah.
right? And then there was a cable, a metal steel aircraft cable, it's called, like a quarter inch in diameter,
Hmm.
that took all the stress when you towed it, right?
Hmm.
And so it's like they didn't know which way it was facing. So if the sled's underwater like this, and the boat's over here like that, they want to pull it up. We didn't know which way it was facing when it sunk. Well, they went for it. They were going this way. The cable tore and stuck into one of the dive planes were made out of plywood.
Mm.
And I had one dive bottle with 450 psi in it. That's pounds per square inch, which in scuba diving is not a lot of air.
Hmm.
You start off with like 1,800 pounds in a dive bottle, the things you put on your back.
Mm.
And that'll last you, like 40 minutes or something, depending on how hard you're working.
Hmm.
So the visibility was like zero. And I got on the end of the line on the boat and I pulled myself down to the sled shark, the little, just the fin. And the cable's stuck in there and I'm trying to pull it out. And I'm sucking on this air bottle and I used up all the air. It's gone. Oh, man. And then look up. It's like 30 feet up, right? And I see these boats going
Oh no.
water. Yeah. And I'm going, and you have, when you're diving, it's called a free ascent.
Yeah.
You have, because of the air in your lungs, you have to let air escape slowly because it'll expand in your lungs and give you an embolism.
Hmm.
So I'm letting the air go out and I'm going around in circles, right, to keep the watch. And Richie Homer, my buddy, knew I was down there and he had a Zodiac and he was right over me, protecting me. But that's the roll through
Wow.
crime scene story.
God,
There's a
that's
lot.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Honestly, I mean, it sounds like an absolutely thrilling summer. And also, I'm amazed you're still alive and you survived it, Cal.
Yeah. Well, here's another one.
Go on.
Chrissy is in the water, right? We're pulling
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm putting a stake. It's a Ford axle. We have a different name for it, but it's about that long. And they
Okay.
used to use them in circuses and stuff for tent stakes. They pull an axle out of an old Model T, and it has a little thing on the end with gears on it.
Hmm.
And so I'm pounding this thing, short stroking with a sledgehammer, and then in like 6 feet of water, dive down, ding, 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 ding. I hit my phone, man. Oh, dude, it hurt so bad. But I was in the water, right? And so it wasn't throbbing that much. We finished the shot, and I get out of the water, and it's just going, wah, wah. It really just swelled up. It's all black and blue on my thumbnail. And
No.
so I go over to the tugboat where the nurse was,
Mm.
and she decides she's going to use a paper clip and heats it up on the electric stove, and she's putting it on my thumbnail. She's going to melt it, my thumbnail, and she's pushing really hard on my thumbnail. And I'm thinking to myself, if that goes through my thumbnail, it's going to go right through my thumb. And
Yeah.
it's okay, I'm fine. I left. I went to the first AD because she was like a tippler.
Mm.
And I went to the first AD and I told him I had to go to the emergency room. So I get over there, and what does the guy do? He pulls out a paper clip. I go, oh man, I just been through this, right? And he takes me to the back, and he's, the Bunsen burner. Remember from
Yeah,
chemistry class, the Bunsen burner?
yeah.
Takes out a Bunsen burner, lights it up, and he gets that thing red hot, and he touches my thumbnail and goes, tss. And he did one more. He had to get it hot again, and one more, and then I swear the blood squirted out about that far, my thumb. What? So good.
Oh, God. That's a great story. Oh my God. I'll be honest, Cal, this was not the conversation I expected us to be having. This is hilarious. Oh my God. I don't know. Do I want to be a special effects man or not? I mean, do I like my hands working? Oh, man,
I will,
crazy, dude.
a mark of a good special effects man is he has all of his fingers.
That's very
You
true.
know, well, in those scenes you see in movies where they're shooting out of a bar, for instance, pop, pop, pop,
Mm,
pop, 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 there are little explosions all over the place. Those things are really powerful, and some
mm,
of them are very powerful. Some of them will blow your fingers right off.
mm.
I mean, literally gone.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
God, I'm glad that you survived the trauma of Jaws with all of your fingers, your thumbs, everything. It seems like you're in one piece, which is great. I'm kind of, I mean, I'm blown away by this conversation. I honestly, you've taken this in really to really interesting places, and you're a fantastic storyteller. That plane story was absolutely brilliant. Um, I, Cal, I've got sort of one final question for you before we sign off. It's 50 years since Jaws came out, and people are still loving this film, loving the work that you've all done as a crew. Why do you think people are still in love with this movie? Why are we still talking about it 50 years later?
My opinion is there's never been another movie like it. I mean, if you think about the movie where the kid was in the boat and had the tiger in there, what was the name of that movie? That was all
Life of Pi.
CGI.
Life of
Pardon me?
Pi.
Yeah. I mean, that was spectacular. But this was all mechanical special effects. It was like we shot it live right there on in the ocean, man. It was like,
Mm,
and it's along with a lot of other things piled in. With the it being one of the biggest box office hits ever, especially at the time. It was the biggest box office hit ever. Um, there's and the Quint and like Dreyfus and the head games that they were going through. I mean, it was and the music. I mean, come on, dun, 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 right? It was great. It had it all. The movie had it all.
it did. It did. Oh, Cal, this has been such a pleasure and an honor to speak with you.
Well,
Uh,
thank you. I was honored talking to you.
no, I've loved it, and thank you very much for being a follower. When you popped up as a follower on the Daily Jaws, I was like, holy cow, that's someone who actually was there and worked on the movie now, keeping an eye on what I'm doing. And thank you for allowing us to share those wonderful photos that you've been keeping for sort of over 50 years. So before we sign off, Cal, is there anything else you'd like to share or say before we bid everybody a fond farewell and adieu?
Well, I can't reiterate enough that it was the best summer of my life. It was a blast. Just remember that I was a bachelor. I was 28 years old, and every day there comes a ferry boat, oh, lands. All those people get off, and they're all on vacation. It was a party the whole time. It was like a party every night, every day. It was awesome.
Good man. I abs I love that you're still in love with the experience. I know 50 years is a long time and you can look at things in various different colors in that sort of period of time, but you just seem absolutely in love with the experience of making the movie, and we're all in love with the movie that you ended up helping to make. So thank you so much again for taking your time to talk to us. Guys, I've been Ross for the Daily Jaws, speaking with the SFX legend that is Cal Acord, the man who literally was in the jaws of the shark. Guys, plenty more interviews to come, but I'll predict your legs and I'll bid you all a fond farewell and adieu. That's it for today's deep dive into Jaws, the film that turned beaches into no-swim zones and created the summer blockbuster. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow, rate and review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, just when you thought it was safe to stop listening, there's plenty more episodes to come. Please be sure to check out the work of Minorities in Shark Sciences and also the Tourette's Association of America. That's it for now, guys, but I'll catch you next time. I'll drink to your legs.